Hello.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Hope you had a lovely Christmas.
Yeah, I hope you had a nice New Year. Who saw Aquaman 2 being the best movie that's been ever made? Who saw that coming?
I mean, it was incredible.
Yeah, it's the best movie since Casablanca, the critics say.
I read a review in Empire. The headline was Aquaman shits all over Shawshank Redemption.
So obviously we're recording this at the end of November, but it's gonna come out in January. And I was just thinking about New Year's resolutions, and this is why I recommended this film, because I want to write more in the next year.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it. And this is a very writing-based movie. This is very close to me. It's more from my brain than anything else we watched before, probably. It's a movie called... Oh, wait. Hi.
Hello. We're
I Hate Your Movie. This is I Hate Your Movie.
Yep.
Where,
you probably already know by now. This is episode, 30-something?
Yeah, but just in case.
Okay.
You're a first listener. This is I Hate Your Movie. It's where we inflict movies on each other for your entertainment. I'm Dan.
I'm Rick.
And this week, our recommended to watch is Adaptation, a 2002 movie directed by Spike Jonze, written by Charlie Kaufman, and what's his brother's name?
Donald Kaufman.
Starring Nicolas Cage twice as twins and other people. Spike Jonze, obviously, if you've seen his films, is a very heady director. He directed the movie Her.
Yep.
He directed Being John Malkovich, again written by Charlie Kaufman. He's also likes to dress up as grandma and being in Jackass. He's in the Jackass group, so he's quite a character.
Yeah, so when you Google Spike Jonze, 4 films come up. I challenge you to name those films.
Ooh.
So it's the first 4. Obviously, there's lots more if you click.
Is
more.
it only things he directed?
Nope.
Jackass 1, 2, 3. Bad Grandpa?
Okay. You have one of them in there. You were very close to another one. Yeah, Bad Grandpa was one.
Oh, really?
You said Jackass 1, 2, and 3, and 4 is on there.
I didn't even know that was Jackass.
Jackass Forever,
Yeah.
I think it's called.
Yeah.
I think that's the 4th one.
So this high-minded director.
Yeah. He's the co-creator of Jackass.
Yeah,
you know that.
that's hilarious. Her was pretty popular.
Yep, Being John Malkovich.
Yeah.
And the other one, and I don't know how he was involved because I did not have the time to research it properly, Babylon.
Oh.
I have no idea how he's involved in Babylon.
Oh. I'm curious to find this out now.
Hello, post-recording Dan here. It turns out he was an actor in Babylon. He played the comical German director during the shooting of the battle scenes. Yabba dabba doo. Scooby dooby doo. Have I reached my word limit yet?
So yeah, this is quite a weird film. It is a very meta, self-referential film about Charlie Kaufman, the screenwriter himself, trying to adapt this book called The Orchid Thief. And it's about him trying to break the story and struggling with it. And at the same time, parallel, we see how The Orchid Thief was written. Rick,
Yes.
what did you think of Adaptation?
My one sentence view is as follows. You can't have a film where the main character talks about originality all the way through to have a predictable cliche ending.
But that was the whole point.
The whole thing failed at the end for me.
I guess we'll get into that. But first, I've got a surprise for you.
Okay.
I wrote a one-sentence review
Right.
because I got inspired. I'm a fat piece of shit, and I'm trying to write this one-sentence review, which is impossible for a movie like this, but I thought I could do it. I thought I was the special writer who could pull it off. But no, I'm just a fucking loser who's way over his head, fat, single, and lonely. What is a one-sentence review anyway? How can you...
Oh my god.
How can you condense such a complexity into a simple fucking English sentence? Maybe that is the point. To break the status quo, to challenge the narratives. Make the longest one-sentence review anyone has ever written. I'm a fat piece of shit, and this movie is awesome.
Not a sentence.
I know, but that's my meta one-sentence review.
I did have another, one sentence review, but I couldn't quite get it to, narrow enough. And it basically is along the lines of, I watch films to stop the anxiety and the thoughts of of self-hatred. I don't want to see that on screen. I watch films to avoid that, not to see more of it.
This is like the most relatable movie for me that's ever been made.
So if you haven't seen the film and you're very confused by Dan's 7-sentence review, that's how it does. Is you have a narrator in the film pretty much constantly, and he's trying to write it, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know how to write it. Where's the structure? Where's the script?" And it's constant throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
I think it gets less as the film goes through, but very much at the start, all you hear is his inner monologue.
Yes.
Of him like hating himself.
Do I have an original thought in my head? My bald head. Maybe if I were happier, my hair wouldn't be falling out. Life is short. I need to make the most of it. Today's the first day of the rest of my life.
Yeah, he's hating himself. He's trying to break this story that has no story.
Mm-hmm.
This book called Orchid Thief is about like basically nothing. Like it has no end. It has no structure. He challenged himself to write a script on that. And it's very relatable as well to me. I'm always like that. I'm going to write the next this and that. Like almost an impossible task.
I think people have made screenplays out of less. I think not being able to write a screenplay on a book shows an incredible lack of talent.
But there's no story in the book.
Yeah, but you've got films about Disney park rides. There's things with much less story to them that have been made into films. Good films, some of them.
Yeah. The writer's dilemma in the story is that he wants to preserve what the book is like while not writing like a kind of action schlocky script, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's kind of stuck between those two worlds, represented by his brother. Should we spoil the brother?
Yeah.
So it's a very down-to-earth movie, and it feels like really real for the most part, except at the end. To the point where it's like written by Charlie Kaufman and Donald Kaufman, and at the end, when the brother dies, spoiler alert, there's a dedicated to Donald Kaufman, who doesn't exist.
No, never did exist.
No. I think I knew that somewhere, but I forgot it completely, because the first 2/3 of this movie is so real to me. I completely forgot, and it completely got me. It completely bamboozled me.
Oh, I forgot to say as well. Do you know what else Spike Jonze has directed? He's directed, you know, the Fatboy Slim song where Christopher Walken's dancing around.
Did he do
He
that?
directed that, yeah.
Oh my god, I love that video.
Yeah, everyone does.
You can see it. I'm looking at it. Yeah, that's great. Wow, what a talent in old man makeup.
Welcome to Jackass.
Welcome to Jackass, bro. Let's talk about our feelings. So that brother character doesn't exist at all.
I just think that's so pointless.
No, it's not. Because if you're going to do this script, you need someone to bounce back and forth from. If you're going to do this self-referential stuff, you need someone who's kind of your opposite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I get that if you want to write a fictional brother into the film, fair enough. But what's the point of the in loving memory of Donald Kaufman at the end? It's just, it feels tacky to me. You're kind of manipulating the audience.
To be fair, after I learned that his brother was non-existent, I was like, oh yeah, if your brother died for real, you wouldn't put him in a movie and die kind of comically, you know, crashing out a window and slowly fading away.
Depends on the brother. Depends
I guess.
if you know, because he's friends with like Johnny Knoxville and that. Like if Johnny Knoxville died, and then that's exactly how he'd want to be in a film, dying about his life.
I don't know. It would have felt kind of tasteless, I think. So I don't know. It feels like the Fargo thing to me, where in the beginning of Fargo it says this is based on true events. The names have been changed and this and that, and it's not true. But it kind of gives it some believability, and it's kind of fun, and it carries on that meta motif. And I don't think it was like playing the audience or trolling the audience. I think it was more along the lines of he was real to himself while he was writing him. You know, like there's a quote from his fake script.
Yeah,
That's like that's how deep it goes. Oh, I don't know. I like it.
okay. Each to their own.
I want to say the first monologue that plays pretty much on a black screen with little credits, that's straight from my brain.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much my one sentence review.
Yeah, and I had just such an adverse reaction to that.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh.
I kind of liked it because as a fellow struggling writer, you don't see into people's brains, and just the fact that the person who wrote Being John Malkovich, after he wrote that, he still feels like that.
And not just wrote it, but he made it as well.
Yeah.
It's not just about writing it. He got picked up and made
Yeah.
it into a film. And even in this film, he's on the set of being John Malkovich.
Yeah, and so like even after that, he feels like that about himself, and I'm sure it's played up a bit
Yeah.
because he's not even fat in real life. The kind of regular looking guy. That he made himself look way worse. Like he's kind of balding, but not as badly as Nicolas Cage in this. Like he has like the most unfortunate bald spot, where he's like almost he has see-through hair.
Yeah.
But still, like it must come from somewhere. It feels nice that even the fucking writer of Being John Malkovich thinks about himself like this. Speaking of that, it starts from the set of Being John Malkovich. I always thought of this movie as it was made before Being John Malkovich. So imagine my surprise when the film starts with behind the scenes Being John Malkovich. It was great. How's that the first movie you wrote? That's fucking crazy.
It's not the first movie, where it's the first movie he got picked up
Yeah, fine, but still, that's fucking crazy.
for. Why?
I was just like, it's such a masterpiece, that movie. It really is. One day we'll talk about it. You like it, right?
I like Being John. It's been a very long time since I've seen it, but it's a good film.
I'll watch it every 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
I really love it. It's one of my top 10 for sure.
I have a question for you. We're getting into it a little bit now. Why does the movie start from the beginning of time?
I thought that was hilarious. He's like, how did I get here? And he's like, literally shows the planet forming and then dinosaurs and then
Horrible birthing scene.
the birthing scene, which is, this is more horrific than anything we've seen in any horror film before. Well, you know why? Because he writes that later. Remember that bit? Later.
It didn't make sense when he wrote it later either.
I know.
though.
I know, but it's kind of like it's a weird, like this loop of reference. Loop reference. I don't know, I just like it.
Okay.
It's just kind of like a gag, to me.
Yeah.
It doesn't really add much to it other than like another kind of form of anxiety in writing is like, I've got a blank page. So what the fuck do I do? Where do I start? So it's kind of like that, I think.
Okay. Again, I watch films to get away from this kind of stuff. His love interest throughout the film
Yeah.
is just, oh my God. It's so cringy to watch.
Why?
Because she's clearly like really into him and waiting for him to make a move.
Yeah.
And he never does.
Yeah.
He actually, does he even at the end? I don't think he does at the end.
They like hug and there's like an implication that they might.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, oh my God, it's so cringe to watch. I like that it's not Hollywood and he hasn't gone for it and everything's gone well for him or that kind of thing. But I think a better way of doing that would have been like when we watched Dream Scenario, and they're making out and it's super awkward all the way through because he farts. And then he farts and then she starts taking off his belt and he comes and then he farts as he comes. That would be a better way of doing it. I get it's not every day and that's what he's trying to portray, everyday kind of stuff that actually happens.
Yeah.
But I think if you're exaggerating your own personality and your own like flaws, you take it to those extremes because that would be a more entertaining kind of thing to happen.
I did like it that it was very non-Hollywood. I like their apartment because he's got some money now, so it's a step above usual LA. 6 people live together, one in the bathroom. It's an unfurnished house. It's just like completely empty. There's barely anything, and they're like, his brother is constantly on the floor, stretching out. There's nowhere to sit down.
Do you think they filmed in his actual house?
He's crazy like that, so maybe. He's a nutter. That's also weird. This movie does a lot of things I don't usually like in movies.
Yep.
And it does it in such an extreme and it's so well that I love it. Like narration. I hate narration in films.
Just like Brian Cox.
Just like Brian Cox later on, he explains. And I hate...
Doesn't Kiss Kiss Bang Bang have a lot of narration in it?
It does, but with that one, the way it fits to me in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, there was like a crime noir kind of, this dame came into my office, like,
Yeah.
because that was a spoof of that one kind of. For this one, it's because there's no other way to kind of explore writing block, I don't think. Like there's no visual way to show it. And then it was interesting and varied enough that it kept me going.
Okay.
I hate kind of self-referential stuff, and I hate like, oh, I'm writing about myself. You know, that's the typical like you meet someone and like, I'm a writer. I write about a Starbucks barista who is secretly a genius. You know, it's kind of like that. But yeah, I just don't usually like that stuff. And this one, it's just so well done that I can't fault it in any way. It's not self-congratulatory in any way. He's constantly talks about himself as fat, balding, terrible. He constantly sweats, and he's like a loser wimp.
There's a lot of stuff in this film that, again, I don't know if he's trying to put it in there to make a point or he's making fun of people who make those kind of points.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a whole thing where he says to someone, I can see your sadness. It's lovely. And there's another bit where he's talking about find your flower because every flower has an insect matched to it, blah, 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 blah.
The sadness part was the American Indian guy. He was...
Oh, yeah, he was a creepy, creepy guy.
Later on turns out that he was high, and that's why he was like that.
He was obviously high.
Well,
he was really, really high. It was very clear from that one scene.
The flower matching, I don't remember that specifically.
I think it's when she first meets LaRoche.
Okay. Is LaRoche says that?
Yeah, I think so.
But I'm sure he says it in a very like nonchalant way, not like in a poetic way.
I think he's trying to be kind of, because that's the character of LaRoche. He's always trying to sound and be much more intelligent than he seems.
Let's explain who LaRoche is and who Glenn Close is.
Glenn Close.
Isn't that the actress?
The fuck are you talking about?
Who's the journalist who writes the Orchid?
Meryl Streep.
Oh, Meryl Streep. Yeah, I always mix those two up. Meryl Streep, straight from Mamma Mia. The parallel story to Charlie Kaufman trying to write this is Meryl Streep as a journalist trying to write a book about this guy who's an orchid thief who steals precious orchids and trying to save them and trying to make them available, spread them around.
Yeah, so she works for the New Yorker. She's written an article about orchid thieves, and now she's writing a book.
Yeah, they ask her to write a book to expand the whole story, the non-story.
I mean, obviously I haven't read the book, but it seems to me like an interesting book about people who steal orchids because there's a massive trade for them, massive like underground kind of thing.
I haven't read the book, but it seems to me it would be better suited for a documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's such a hard task to write a script about it.
Okay.
We can disagree on that, it's fine.
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to pull out my writer card and say that you're not a writer. It's hard to explain to you how hard it is to break a story. Breaking a story is like meaning like you get the structure and then you know what it's about. It's so fucking hard. It's incredibly hard. Even when you have an idea. But this is almost like without an idea. There's no themes. There's no nothing. It's just like a little documentary short in a book format, you know? He's trying to, at the same time, preserve its innocence, preserve that it's about flowers, but he doesn't give a shit about flowers, so it's kind of like trying to make himself inspired by it.
Sure.
So
I just think it's a lot easier than that. Just write a film about a person's journey, and he's traveling to all these places, picking flowers, and you know.
And what?
Well, you just raise the stakes a little bit by, like, for example, it was really clever in the film how he hired a bunch of Indian Americans who were legally allowed to take things from the land. Mm-hmm. Make it kind of this about someone who kind of like a heisty type thing where you know, he's getting around legal battles and all that kind of stuff.
But that was the problem, because he wanted to write about the flowers, Charlie Kaufman. He wanted it to be about the flowers and not about the personal drama or anything like that. That was his thing.
So, yeah, but surely it's better to write that than to write something where you are now in your own film and you're writing a book about... No, you're writing a film... You're starring in a film about a book that you're in and all that kind of stuff. Like, surely just...
At the end, it all makes sense.
Oh my god, that is... No.
It does.
Like, to you.
Okay. There's some things here in the middle as well that kind of gives it away.
Okay.
I think the theme of this movie is in the title, which is this adaptation. It's the Darwin segment, when they show Darwin and what Darwin wrote about. That's how species evolve through adaptation.
Yeah, the whole thing is just like dual meaning
Yeah.
between adaptation.
Not only he's writing an adaptation, it's about his journey as well as changing into a different person where he's not used to adapting anything, and he kind of has to take this content and make it into something, and he kind of has to change because there's no other way to do it. Oh my god. Speaking of Darwin segment, there's a bit in it, I think it's in a montage, when Charlie Kaufman is having another existential crisis, one of the many. He envisions Darwin, and Darwin's writing his books, and he just throws it on the ground. And they reminded me of a Darwin quote. Actual real quote.
Okay.
Because Darwin kept journals of his travels and stuff. At the end of one of his journal entries he wrote, "But I'm very poorly today, and very stupid, and hate everybody and everything." Darwin wrote that in the 1800s. It feels like very today, right?
It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
That should be on a t-shirt. It's just Darwin's face, I hate everyone and,
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah. It's true. It's like quotes.
Yeah.
Quote marks. Going back to the brothers, what did you think about Nicolas Cage's acting as two twin brothers?
I thought his portrayal of Charlie Kaufman, whether that's actually him, like how Charlie Kaufman is or not, yeah, it was very good.
Yeah.
He had a decent amount of control, especially for Nicolas Cage, where an early Nicolas Cage as well, when he really didn't rein it in much at all. Only later, when he did like current films, Dream Scenario is another good example. So yeah, it was very controlled. His anxiety attacks where he's typing madly works out very well. Do you know Nicolas Cage, he did exactly what Spike Jonze told him to do, and he ignored all of his acting instincts.
Oh, probably a good idea. It's a very weird role for him at early 2000s. He was still like action Cage. He was still in like action movies, like Face Off and that kind of stuff. It's a very weird role for him to fatten up and do this like very artsy film. But it's good for him.
The Donald role, I thought just felt a little bit lazy to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey man, shall I do this?
Oh, I love
Okay, Charlie, I'm gonna go now. Bye.
I
And
love-
that was the entire personality.
No, I didn't get that. I thought he had a lot of things going on. He had that giggle going on.
The giggle.
He had a nervous giggle, and they talk about it at some point. He was very earnest and very nice. That might be boring to you, but that was his personality, and it kind of clashed very nice with Charlie's personality.
I like that he was like the confident,
Yeah.
outgoing version of Charlie.
Yeah. And they looked almost identical, and they,
Being the same actor.
well, yeah, but
in the
also
same
makeup and
Yeah.
yeah, but like you could tell which one is which is great.
Yeah.
I don't think that's an easy thing to pull off.
No, I don't. I think it's just the way they dressed.
Yeah, the way they dressed. I think Donald was less fat. His hair was a bit shorter, I think.
Yeah.
But still, like, it could have gone way worse than that.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I didn't give that much credit in my notes, actually, because that's a really good point.
Yeah.
At no point was I confused who was who.
Yeah.
Even if they're just sitting in the car together.
So his brother also writes this script, The Free, which is about... Although it's more confusing than this movie.
Yeah, the detective, the hostage, and who's the third one? There's a third person.
The victim?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
The victim of the first murder.
Yeah, maybe.
And they're all the same person.
They're all the same person. And there's like a chase scene.
There's a car chase in there somewhere.
That was most of the comedy for me. Like, like listening back to that script is really funny.
I didn't like throughout the film how Charlie just keeps putting him down about his script, and everything he says is just mean. I found it wasn't constructive. It was just like, oh, Donald, stop being a idiot. I'm so much better than you. My writing is so much better. It's like, oh my god, I have so much more artistic integrity. You're just making films over there about normal things. I'm trying to elevate the medium.
Well, it's the first half I agree with. The second half I don't agree with.
Okay.
Because he was like snobbish about it. And yeah, but he didn't think that he's better, I don't think. I think he just thought that Donald is such an impulsive character. This is his thing at the moment, and he's just going to move on to another thing.
Yeah.
And he was just kind of too consumed in his own writing that he didn't care enough. So I don't think it was more like, I'm better or something like that. It was more just, you're new to this. I don't have patience to teach you all the things. I thought of this Donald character as kind of like, it's the side of Charlie Kaufman, that guy. Like, it's a part of his personality. which goes like, oh, let's make it easy, let's make it simple, let's make it fun. And that's also what kind of he's coping with, and that's why the back and forth is happening, you know?
That makes sense because they're twins, but watching it from like face value, I got very much a sense of like that was like the world bothering him to just do something basic and simple, and that's what everyone else is doing, like basic and simple, and it's his. That's why he's so dismissive, because he's like, "Fuck off, people! I just want to make something better than that."
Because I think I'm like that too, where I'm like, just write this simple thing, whatever. And then there's the other side of me, which is now it has to be like perfect or artistic. My favorite. Don't give me the disappointing. Guys. Don't give me that. My favorite line comes up in this kind of dynamic, which is, I think Donald says something stupid about a script, and then Charlie Kaufman says, "You and I share the same DNA. Is there anything more lonely than that?" She's like brutal. It was a brutal line.
So I'm saying he's a dick to his brother.
I don't disagree he's a dick. I just think that he comes from a different place. He doesn't think he's better than anyone. He's just kind of very self-absorbed.
My next note is about the waitress that he asks out.
Oh, yeah. So he's supposed to go on this orchid show.
Yep. The waitress is just being nice to him.
Yeah.
And she said, "Oh, I love flowers. They're so pretty." And he's like, "Oh, do you want to go to see the orchid show at the weekend?"
Yeah.
Like, he invites her on like a weekend away.
Yeah.
As like a first thing.
Yeah.
And her face. It's just pure disgust.
That is followed by his fantasy of what would happen.
Yeah. By the way,
Yeah.
let's talk about how much he masturbates in this film. Is that necessary?
I don't know if it's necessary, but it's very realistic, you know, based on my own. Like, it comes with like anxiety. I think.
Yeah.
And when you're like really stuck on an idea.
I had a question at the start of this, and it was answered later in the film. Was there not porn? Like, why is he sitting around thinking about people he's met?
Not really,
earlier in the
early
day?
2000s.
There was. The guy had a porn site. The flower guy had a
that's
porn
true.
site that he was
Yeah,
running.
but like it was dial-up internet.
Still. Everyone had a magazine somewhere.
A magazine,
tucked
yeah.
under the bed and between the mattress. It just struck me as something that a teenager would do.
No, not really to me. Like,
Okay.
it's really anxious.
Speaking to my own teen. The second thing I want to talk about him masturbating, never cleans himself up. He just, you see his legs at the end of the bed, he's like, "Ugh, ugh." And then he just gets up and starts typing on the sound. Like, come on, man. Like, you're spreading it around there. Like, wash your hands at least. His keyboard's all sticky.
That's why I was a white typewriter. It used to be black. I love his little fantasies because it is more about the filmmaking now. The editing makes it so, like, you almost believe it's happening, and then it's like, nope.
Okay, right. So my next note is about the timeline jumps.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
So there's 3 different timelines in this film, I think.
Yeah.
How many are there? So there's him writing the script.
Yeah,
There's her writing the book.
Yeah.
And then there's
Her writing the journal,
yes,
the New Yorker, and her after written the book.
yeah, and it does quite well to keep you
Yeah.
in time, but I feel like there's a cleaner way
Yes.
to do this.
I think so.
Because it jumps around.
Yeah.
And what I actually wrote down was, how do I feel about this? Because I don't know.
Yeah.
It's slightly irks me, but not enough to actually be a complaint.
Yeah. Because it's still easy to follow,
Yeah.
which is kind of amazing. There's like 2 different kind of parallel stories that happen at different times, and then in one of the storylines there's 3 different time jumps. Yeah, that irked me a little bit too. I don't know if there's a better way to do it. I don't know how the film would be different. Obviously the Orchid Thief part was more meant to be a parallel to Charlie's kind of life, as his writing struggles. all of a sudden they just flash back to when LaRoche family dies.
Yeah.
And there was like 9 months earlier or whatever. I was like, what?
Yeah. You constantly get like 3 years ago,
Yeah.
2 years ago, 5 years ago, 9 months later.
Yeah, it's like that. It's like constant
What?
flashback, flash forwards, yeah.
I'd love to see like a timeline of this film and see, oh my God. You flash back to the guy's family that dies.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that whole kind of heavy-handed emotional baggage in the film?
Was it heavy-handed?
I don't think it was necessary at all, to be honest.
It was kind of necessary, I think, to make us believe that Meryl Streep could fall for this guy.
Because she needs to feel sorry for him.
You need a lot of reasons to fall in love with this guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you need to get over a lot to make us believe that upper middle class woman who's in a marriage and writes for the fucking New Yorker falls in love with this redneck with missing teeth.
I don't think you do.
No?
I think because you've shown that she's unhappy in her marriage. They were talking about when he nearly died, or when his wife nearly died. And she says then, like, oh, if I nearly died in a car crash, I'd leave my marriage too, because no one would be able to stop me. So she's clearly not happy in a marriage as it is. She's not happy with what she's got, so she's going to do the opposite of that. And you don't... That's enough, right? It just feels overwritten at this point.
I don't know, like, you needed a point where, because LaRoche always talks about his interest, like his flowers, his animals and stuff, and you needed kind of something personal to get out of him, so that you feel like the relationship got over the hump of that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? And I feel like if that was also just on the phone while they're on the phone and they're chatting, I feel like that would have been like too much tell, done show.
Okay.
You know, but I could live without it for sure. One thing I like about that, it's a very tiny thing in that scene, like the filmmaking is after the accident they pull him out on the stretcher and you can barely see anything and it's just focusing on him and he's just trying to look around while his neck is constrained and he's like, how many of them are dead? How many of them are dead? It's just like a really cool, like, it felt like how it would be.
Yeah.
Like it's very chaotic and you're trying to get some information out, but you can't. Can we talk about Brian Cox?
Can do.
So,
You once met Brian Cox.
not only I met him, I was his personal assistant on a movie called The Carer, which looks like, while we were shooting it, the most fucking boring movie ever made. I never watched it, even though my name is in the credits. I love Brian Cox.
Cool.
I might be, you know,
After being his bitch.
after being his bitch. It's very funny. Like, I can reveal a little secret here
Okay.
about Brian Cox. He's always cast as like this mean guy. He's like, fuck this, fuck that. In X-Men 2, Stryker, he's like the guy who made Wolverine, but in real life, he's just a big hippie. It's really fun.
It's the same with Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
Oh my God. In real life, he's like a kid in a candy shop who's being fed loads of sweets. I saw him once. I was in Forbidden Planet in London.
Yeah.
And he just walked in. He had a pint of Guinness on him.
You met him as an equal, not like with me and Brian Cox. I was his servant, manservant.
He kept doing, what's the thing he did in Justice League when he catches the Flash or something?
Cowabunga, dude. Something like
It's definitely not that.
that. It's something like
It's
that.
something like that, but it's like, oh yeah, or something.
My man.
That's it, my man. He kept doing that over and over and over again.
Might as well be Cowabunga.
Cowabunga, dude.
So Brian Cox, I remembered he was in the movie. I didn't remember he says his catchphrase, which is fuck. Because now that he's kind of famous from Succession, he's in interviews and he says like, people come up to me and say, can you please tell me to fuck off? Because that's his famous catchphrase now, fuck off. Fuck off.
Fuck off. Fuck off. Fuck off. Fuck off. Fuck off. Fuck off. Fuck off. Fuck off. Fuck off. Fuck off. Fuck off. Fuck off. Fuck off. Well, fuck off. Fuck off. Fuck off. Fuck off. Oh, fuck off. 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 Drag. Fuck off.
He does say it in like a very potent way.
Yeah, in a very Brian Cox way.
Yeah, I love him. He's great. Yeah, he plays this guy who runs a course on script writing. Donald Kaufman, he goes to see him, and then he recommends it to Charlie, and Charlie's like, no, that's all bullshit. This and that. Again, very relatable. And then he ends up going to one of his seminars out of sheer desperation.
Yeah, so he goes to New York to meet the lady who wrote the book.
Yeah.
But he doesn't meet her.
Yeah.
He just kind of stands in an elevator with her and then wusses out and goes home.
Yeah.
I don't understand why. Like, surely you wouldn't just fly to New York to meet her. You'd arrange a meet and then you'd fly to New York. You wouldn't just show up and be like, hey, I'm in New York. Do you want to come over? Or you just show up at her desk and be like, hey, like, you wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I guess so.
Especially as such an awkward person.
Mm-hmm. One of my favorite bits in this is when he's on his seminar to Brian Cox and Charlie has his usual narration of fuck this story, I hate myself, whatever. And then the narration cuts out and Brian Cox is like, and God help you if you're writing voiceover. You might as well fucking kill yourself. That was great. I loved it. And it's true. Fuck voiceover. Except in this movie. He says it at the end, he's like, oh no, I shouldn't do voiceover. Well, fuck it, it feels right. That's my opinion on it as well. Like, if it really feels right, do it. But try to avoid it.
What I liked about this film in the start
Mm-hmm.
is it felt very realistic.
Yeah.
They had a lot of things in there that a little bit exaggerated, but not so much in some areas. And then it's about here in the film, things start to go a bit awry for me.
Yes, I have some thoughts on this too, but I don't know how else you could have done it. So I think the deviation point is where he asked Donald for help in his script.
Yeah,
That's like
100%. That's what I've got as well.
Yeah.
When Donald comes to New York
Yeah.
and they start spying on Meryl Streep.
Yeah. This suddenly becomes this thriller,
Yeah.
and it's very...
Shit.
No. It's the logical conclusion to this movie, I think. He's trying to break the script. Stonewall's his brother who's got the ideas. And then at the end, he gives in to some of that kind of pull of, okay, let's make this into a little bit of a story. So I think this is a natural arc for this. But the problem is, and I don't know how to get around this, right? It has a bit of a... Have you ever seen the movie Sucker Punch?
Yes, I have seen the movie Sucker Punch.
In that, a little girl has like these visions while she's dancing, and in the visions she's in like weird worlds where she's defeating monsters and that kind of stuff. We know she's dreaming, and we know she's kind of impervious to harm in the dream. The action scenes don't work because you know it's fake, and it's kind of the same effect in here where you're like, yes, very realistic, and then you clearly see a deviation into fantasy, and okay, this is not real anymore.
Yeah.
And you like kind of switch off.
Yeah. Well, at least you agree. That's good.
I do.
Not with the shit bit, but with the thing that film starts to go a bit wrong. Yeah.
I do. I wouldn't know how to get around it though, because it is like a very natural ending point to the movie.
I think if you spend so long writing a film about breaking a script or breaking the story, and then you get halfway through and give up and do what you do, the basic thing anyway, what's the point of the first half?
He adapted.
Okay. Well, that's a fair answer.
Yeah.
That's a fair answer, but...
This whole movie is him fighting to stay like he is, and he can't because he's got an assignment that requires something else from him. And at the end, he gives in. He gives in to his Donald persona. And only a little bit, like, it's still not... Maybe that could have been an angle if you even turn the dial up of surrealism even more.
Yeah.
And it becomes like action. That's what I kind of remembered, because I watched this a long time ago. Like, if you make it more actiony and more, like, crazy. Like, maybe that could have been an angle. I don't know. Could have been shorter as well, maybe, this segment.
Yeah, well, to be honest, funny you say that, because this is exactly my opinion. My first question was, did Charlie Kaufman actually stalk a woman? But no, because at this point it's very fake. And at the end of that, I was just thinking, all right, this is too long now.
Yeah.
This has gone on too long.
Yeah. Pacing could be tighter.
Yeah. If it really at this, I felt it.
Yeah. It's just written so well, other than just snipping little scenes off or little bits off. I don't know how else what else you're gonna do.
Here's a question for you. At this point, we find out Meryl Streep does drugs.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm okay with that. Here's a bit you can cut quite easily. The phone call between her and LaRoche when she's super high.
Yeah, I liked it though.
It's all right,
That's
but
fun.
it's So it's her just going. She's trying to make dial tone noises.
Yeah.
She's trying to get him to make dial tone noises. There's a bit in here which confused the hell out of me. Right? She's super high, and then she puts her feet in the air.
Yeah.
Right?
The little toes come up from
Yeah,
the frame.
yeah. But then she like cradles in her arms like a baby her own foot. Do you notice that?
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to do that? Like, oh my god,
Well, some
the
people,
flexibility of it. Like,
some people are
I did genuinely wonder, like, is that someone else's foot? They've just put in there for effect. So on that note as well, because they're stalking her, and she goes back to LaRoche's place to have her affair, and they spy on her through the window, and she's having sex with LaRoche. My note here was Meryl Streep fucking not sexy.
No. What do you...
Like, when you think of Meryl Streep, this is, I mean, it was 22 years ago, 21 years
yeah,
ago.
21 years ago.
22 now, because we're in 2020.
Yeah, 4, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. after the Aquaman 2. After everything changed. No, it's actually year 1. AA.
After
So
Aquaman.
this is AA1. The year AA1. After Aquaman 2.
Changed the world. So she was a lot younger, but like, if you think of Meryl Streep now,
I mean, she's pretty. There's every Hollywood actress is pretty. I really liked her acting in this.
yeah,
I always think of her as like the boring kind of grandma actor. Who's like kind of in like these Lifetime movies, these Hallmark movies.
she's the nice old lady.
Yeah, she's a nice old lady.
Nice older lady, because
Yeah.
she's not old. She's not like Zimmer frame moving
No,
around,
yeah.
but she's
It's like a
she's
young
the-
grandma.
She's the wise, nice lady
Yeah.
that everyone looks up to and wants to be.
That didn't make it sound better. But in this, she has a lot to do. And it was a lot of fun. She had little moments. That's why I like the drug scene when she gets high. Because she has a lot of fun things to do. And I really like this kind of portrayal of taking drugs. It wasn't like the typical Hollywood of like cue the magical carpet ride music. Doom, doom, doo, 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 doom, 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 doom. You know, 70s circles.
Is that magical carpet ride music?
Doop, doop, doo, doo, doo. And then the 70s circles and the flowers and then people just dozing off. No, she was just a little funny. And then, yeah, she gets to have sex. And she gets to have, like, Tarantino moment where she wants to kill someone.
At this point, I felt like it's just silly. The whole film's
It
a
was,
bit
but there's
silly now.
still like moments that connect back to the beginning, like Donald's big monologue. So LaRoche and Meryl Streep wants to kill them, and they're hiding.
They're hiding behind the first log they find.
Yeah, and they have like those little heart to heart. And Donald,
Oh,
you don't like that?
no, I
Okay.
didn't. You are what you love, not what loves you. No.
Yeah, but like they explain it well within this story where he goes like, "Oh, I like this girl, but she laughed behind me, but I didn't care. You know, I loved her, and she could not take that away from me," which could come across as creepy. Like,
Especially if they just spent the last like half an hour stalking a woman.
yeah, but it made sense to me. You know, at that point, the movie earned that. Like, it could be a little schmaltzy if you want.
No, I'd say again, like you've just spent the first half of the film raging against that, and then to put that in is a bit like. Ugh. It reminded me of like the quote from the end. It's like those two things go hand in hand to me. His little quote from the fake script, and this actual script that's both cheesy and not particularly well written.
I think it was. Again, I think it was earned by them. And then it's earned by the story, because we know the story is changing from real to unreal, and he kind of lets in the positive vibes, you know. And another thing that connects back that I really liked, put a nice little bow and everything to me. Meryl Streep, after LaRoche gets shot.
He doesn't get shot.
No? Wait.
No, he gets killed by an alligator,
Oh, yeah.
which
that's
is
true.
also stupid.
Yeah, it's trippy. Because they're all like at the same space, so you know, like,
Yeah.
and then Nicolas Cage doesn't.
and again, they spend the first half of the film wading through swamps.
Yeah.
And not once did, like, they even saw alligators, so you could see they're not in the
Yeah.
same thing because they couldn't film it. But you could see he looks to the right, and then it cuts to some alligators in the
Yeah.
water.
Yeah, maybe this is why, like, it would have been beneficial to maybe even play that up even more, like the B-movie aspects of it.
Yeah. What I would have liked to have seen from this is, so you've got the Donald character who's like the confident, manly one.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're running away, and then he fights an alligator, and
Mm-hmm.
he kind of holds it down, and, like, I don't know, drowns it or something, something ridiculous.
Or maybe Charlie, because he's, like, gaining his confidence.
Yeah, maybe Charlie saves Donald as a show of his confidence.
Yeah. So one thing I really like that kind of put a nice bow on everything to me is I think Meryl Streep is holding what remains of LaRoche. She's kind of having his mental breakdown. And she says, I want to be a baby again. I want to be new. And I wrote down, adapt, perchance. She adapted to this new environment and she didn't like it. And she wants to start
Okay,
anew.
yeah, I see what you mean now. Yeah,
Yeah?
that makes a bit more. Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
more sense. Yeah, so she's adapted to the environment. She likes it more, and she
Yeah.
wishes she could start again
Yeah.
under this new version of herself.
And this is also ties into the whole "how did I get here" scene. You know, the world, the history of the world, which is nice. Like, yeah, how did I get here? I was born. Like, that's how the movie starts. You know, getting born, adapting, and then dying. And it's just like a nice little, yeah.
Cool.
It feels right to me.
Okay.
And then the movie ends. Nicolas Cage monologuing him to himself, a bit more confident. He hugs his not girlfriend, and then the movie ends with an extreme time lapse. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, with the flowers.
Yeah, flowers was interesting.
Yeah, that was quite cool.
Yeah, I've never seen a time lapse in such an old movie. I've never seen a movie from the 2000s do a time lapse. Must have been a fucking nightmare to make that, like, with, like, film, you know?
You don't need film, you just need to take photos. Just
Yeah,
take
like a
photo every
billion.
hour.
A billion photos.
Yeah,
Should we talk about the behind the scenes of this movie a little bit?
the behind the scenes.
Yeah, for example, how Charlie Kaufman had to actually adapt The Orchid Thief, and this is what he put in, which is just a funny thing. Like, can you imagine you're the lady who wrote The Orchid Thief, and this is what you get? And she had to be, like, convinced.
Yeah, I bet she did, because she's a character in the film.
Yeah. And then, you know, she's portrayed as a cheating,
Yeah,
drug-using,
murderous.
murderous. But, you know, 'cause she's a good sport.
Yeah, I would just be angry.
Yeah?
I would be so angry.
I don't know what this is like in writing. I don't know how much come across that it's, like, really good in writing, you know what I mean?
I think, well, I would be angry, and then I would be like, oh, well, you know, if I was getting 5% before, I'm getting 10% now.
So, yeah, adaptation.
Adaptation. Not done by Andy Kaufman, who I originally Googled.
Yeah, that's a very different story.
Yeah.
Yeah, any final thoughts?
Nope.
No thoughts whatsoever. How would you rate it?
5.
Okay, wow.
Quite a good film at the start, and it's not a good film at the end. It's equal parts, so it's like a 7, then it's a 3, and
Okay.
averages is a 5.
Okay.
So it's not like a, you know, it's not a 10 and a 1. It's, meh. Or even, might even go shallower than that. Might be like a 6 and a 4.
Okay, wow. It didn't reach you in any way.
I mean, it's relatable at the start, and that's what I liked about it, and that's why it was good. I'm still not convinced that it's necessary, that he could have just written a story about the book and not put himself in it. And even in the film, he says, like, it's very egotistical and it's very, and that's not impressive.
I usually think that. I usually think when there's, like, people writing about themselves, it's very egotistical, but this is, like, the exception to me.
Okay.
I rate it a 9 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not quite being John Malkovich, obviously. I have that problem of the pacing at the end, and I don't know what to do with the whole shifting in reality bit. I just don't know what to do with it. You know, I usually have ideas like, oh, this is how I would have done it. The only idea I have maybe make it, like, more crazy, but I'm not even sure that would have worked, to be fair. So, who knows? I really liked it.
Cool.
This is like, if you hate Nicolas Cage, or like thinking he's like a meme guy more than he's an actor, just watch this film. He's great.
I mean, there's loads of films with Nicolas Cage you can watch at this point and have the same effect. He's pretty good in Pig. I don't like the film, but You know, Dream Scenario
Yeah.
is another one where he's not massively over the top.
Yeah. Face Off. He's a very subtle performance. in Face Off.
Subtle like a brick to the face.
Yeah. We started the new year with Meta.
We have.
How are we going to continue the new
We're going to continue, and I wasn't sure about recommending this,
Oh.
but I need to review my list of films because I'm running out.
Ooh.
So,
When we're running out, it's just going to be my films. So you better fucking
oh my
be
God, oh God.
honest.
I'm going to start trawling through Netflix and Amazon and everything. It's just so... It's called Palm Springs.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, have you seen it?
No, I heard about it. I heard it's terrible.
What? It's really good.
Okay.
It's got really high praise.
I
I
heard
think.
it's...
Are you thinking of the right one?
Yeah, it's like the repeating day kind of.
Yeah. I don't know where you heard bad things. I've heard nothing but good things about
Yeah.
it. It went on like the film festival circuits,
I know that.
and
yeah.
then they did really well. And then Amazon paid like a buttload to get it exclusively on Amazon Prime
Yeah.
because there was so much buzz around it.
Yeah, so much buzz, and it was like in the middle of lockdowns and shit, and there's not much to watch. So that might be tainting your experience. We are on Patreon, where you can listen to our bad opinions about movies even more. Patreon.com/I hate your movie. £1 only.
Woo!
Woo! And check us out on Instagram, the same name, I hate your movie. And please subscribe on YouTube, share us on YouTube, and like us on YouTube. That's our main platform, but also you can follow and rate us on your podcast platform of choice.
Yes.
Wow, it's almost like I've written that. That was like just came out.
Two of my mates, they both sent me their Spotify Wrapped,
Okay.
and we were number 2 in podcasts.
Whoa. Nice.
Bye.
Bye.